afternoon. I'm Daniel.
Hey, I'm Kelia. Today we will be focusing on the consequences of climate change in the USA and Barbados.
My friends Kimelia, Shante, and Kristen will be helping us to learn and understand the topic.
To understand climate change, we first need to understand the difference between weather and climate. Do you know the difference between them, Shante?
Yes, I do. Weather refers to the actual atmospheric conditions that are being experienced now. It also includes changes that are forecast over the next few days, for example, in temperature and rainfall. Climate refers to the kind of weather that's typically expected in a region. This includes describing the range of conditions that are possible.
What is climate change? Climate change is a long term shift in the average weather conditions of a region, such as its typical temperature, rainfall, and windiness. Climate change means that the range of conditions expected in many regions will change over the coming decades. This means that there will also be changes in extreme conditions.
Many things cause climate change, but in general, they are placed into two categories: anthropogenic and natural. Anthropogenic refers to as the result of human activity. So this is how us as humans contribute to climate change. Examples of anthropogenic causes are chemical fertilizers, such as the ones we use in agriculture, deforestation from our land space, and increasing vehicles as the world becomes more modernized as a whole. Emissions of greenhouse gases or GHG from activities such as the burning of fossil fuels, the combustion of solid waste, as well as the treatment of wastewater. Of course, the greatest factor or cause from human activities is reversed to the industries. So this includes the agriculture industry, the transportation industry, and electrical and heat industry.
Natural: sunspot and solar cycle, ocean currents, fire forest, volcanic eruptions, meteoroids, methane emissions from animals.
Of course, there are a few general effects of climate change. These four in particular especially affect the Caribbean. The cost of adapting coastal areas to rising sea levels, loss of the capacity to work due to heat, fresh water will be in short supply in some areas, and diseases will spread due to higher temperatures.
Relocation of all towns, shrinking productivity of farmers, prices of basic foodstuff and consumer goods will rise. Extreme meteorological phenomena will cause widespread poverty.
Consequences of climate change.
Hi, Kristen here. Shanti and I will be focusing on the consequences of climate change in Barbados.
Here are some characteristics of Barbados. Barbados is the most easterly of the 12 small islands developing states in the Caribbean basin and enjoys a tropical oceanic climate with no drastic changes in either seasonal or daily temperatures. The climate is classified as dry subhumid, with an average temperature of 26.8 degrees Celsius. Seasons are classified as either wet or dry, with the wet season coinciding with the Atlantic hurricane season that runs from June till November. There is a distinct dry season from December to May. Barbados is located on the edge of the Atlantic storm zone and as a consequence has been affected by tropical storms in recent years.
Most climate models indicate that conditions will be warmer and drier in the Caribbean. Thus, water availability and related health issues are of key concern.
As an island state, Barbados is also highly vulnerable to hurricanes and other natural hazards, and is particularly susceptible to the potential impacts of climate change, including coastal inundation and sea level rise, an increase in tidal and storm surge levels, coastal erosion, rising temperatures, changes in rainfall patterns, droughts, and more frequent and intense tropical changes. Barbados is already classified as a water scarce country. The supply of water is directly affected by weather and climate. A further reduction in the availability of water due to changes in precipitation patterns could lead to serious health impacts. Climate change is expected to affect the quantity and quality of available water. Previous projects concluded that sea level rise causing saline intrusions and changing weather patterns will adversely affect the water supply. With a limited water supply in the future, there will be competition between various sectors concerning the use of water.
Particularly high temperatures, low humidity, and high winds can efficiently remove water from the land surface. Equally, the demand for water is expected to evolve under climate change, particularly as they relate to often rapidly changing demographic and economic settings. These changes generally increase the operational challenges and risks for the water sector. Climate change is likely to threaten the already limited freshwater resources in Barbados significantly in two changes. First, by sea level rise, which is likely to increase seawater intrusion in freshwater aquifers. Second, the increasing frequency of drought conditions will strain the production of aquifers and lengthen their regeneration time. Aisha and I will be looking at the consequences of climate change in the USA. As we all know, global warming is a major issue in our modern world. Climate change is a significant threat to the health of Americans and the USA. Global warming causes a rise in temperature due to the greenhouse effect. This is a combination of dangerous gases that can trap heat rays by creating a barrier around the Earth. An increase in greenhouse gases results in a rise in temperature, changes in precipitation, an increase in the occurrence and strength of some dangerous weather events, and also causes a rise in sea levels.
These are greenhouse gases and their sources, where carbon dioxide comes from fossil fuel combustion, coal and crude oil. Also from methane it comes from natural gas systems and landfills. Hydrofluorocarbons come from substitute of ODS, which stands for ozone depleting substances, and from semiconductor manufacturing. Nitrous oxide comes from cars, manufacturing, and agricultural soil management. Perfluorocarbons come from aluminum production, and sulfur hexafluoride comes from electrical transmission.
Some effects of climate change on the USA are heat waves, wildfires, rising temperatures, drought, and hurricanes.
The other effects of climate change on the USA are cold waves and winter storms, extreme precipitation, floods, and rising sea level. Effects of climate change on the American population. Every American is exposed to the health impacts connected to climate change. Increased exposure to multiple health threats together with changes in sensitivity and the ability to adapt to those threats increases a person's vulnerability to climate-related health effects. The impacts of climate change on human health interact with underlying health demographic, and socio-economic factors. Through the combined influence of these factors, climate change exacerbates some existing health threats and creates new public health challenges. While all Americans are at risk, some populations are extremely vulnerable, including those with low income, immigrant groups, native people, children and pregnant women, older adults, vulnerable occupational groups, persons with disabilities, and persons with pre-existing or chronic medical conditions.
I will now be talking about climate change in the USA during the COVID-19 pandemic. It is quite obvious that global warming doesn't just happen naturally. It all started when mankind started to invent new machinery that produced fumes that harm Mother Earth. Recently, due to the current pandemic COVID-19, a reducing global warming has been picked up by scientists. The USA has a lot of factories, a main factor to global warming. Factories burn fume in the open, which is also air pollution. A lot of these factories have slowed production due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
This concludes the focus of our presentation today.
Thank you for your interest.
I hope you learned something.
If anyone would like more information or has any questions, please feel free to contact me at 876 425 7524.
Until next time, bye.